coming back. It's always great to get our tribe together and pour into you guys and share our knowledge. So we hope that you get a lot out of tonight. I'm confident that you will. Tonight's topic is going to be 15 pounds healthier in 15 weeks. Notice I didn't say lose 15 pounds in 15 minutes, right? That's not what today's about. Yeah. So
15 days.
We just have to chop off a leg. Do it.
So honestly, let's be honest here. Who knows somebody who's on a diet? Right? And how's it working? Just call it out. Is everybody getting where they want to be yet? Right? Yeah, it's such a confusing landscape. It's like the media says one thing, our friends and family say another thing, our doctor says another thing, and then the most recent science says something probably entirely different. High fat, low fat, high sugar, no sugar, right? It's like, it's confusing. So Dr. Heather is super well versed in nutrition, both on a macro level, meaning like how many carbs, how much protein, how much fat, and then on a micro level, like how much of each specific nutrient should we be getting in order to get the results that we want to get. So we're confident you're going to get a lot out of tonight. You'll get some good answers. You'll probably get the opportunity to ask some questions that you might have. And if we can't get you the answers right now, we will get them for you. That's our commitment to you. One other great housekeeping note is June 18th, which is a Monday night, just like this. We're having another workshop like this that is entitled Falling Apart Syndrome, and this one is pertaining to the upper extremities. So Monday, June 18th, 6:30 p.m., just like tonight. So if you know anybody who's falling apart, or if you're falling apart yourself in some ways, it's a great opportunity to come and learn about that and learn how we can help. So I'm going to stop rambling, turn it over to Dr. Heather Rice. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Brett.
Yeah, of course.
Wow, this is an important topic, isn't it? It is affecting so many of us, and in fact, all over the world. And the statistics show that this problem, this concern, is growing at incredible rates. And we're going to actually unpack that tonight to understand what is happening, that we have these concerns about weight in our culture that are becoming more and more prevalent. I don't know if you know this, but the concerns about obesity are affecting a particular population more than any other. Do you know what population that is? Children. Do you know that they are building wings on hospitals so that they can move obese children around, children that are weighing 600 pounds, special equipment to move them around? Right? It's not like a one-off. They're building a wing because it's happening more and more often. So it's a problem that's affecting our entire culture. And we're going to unpack this tonight so that you can understand it. And once you understand it, you can start to make better decisions for yourselves. So does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want you to know, if you haven't heard me speak before, I do my best when I can feel that you guys are engaged, right? So when I'm working with you tonight, like I'm presenting, but you're the vital listeners that make it all. This is why I do this, is for you. So engage with me tonight, because you'll get more out of it that way. Okay, everybody up for that?
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. I want you to know that originally, whenever I talked about weight concerns, I would always have it be part of a bigger program. Rather than thinking of it as just your diet or just your exercise, it's a whole, it comprises an entire lifestyle. And one of the best programs I know of that teaches people the 39 healthiest habits of the healthiest people in the world is this program called Bonfire Health. So I want you all to check it out, Bonfire Health, so that you can use it, and it's free. It's free, but it's a robust program. So I'm gonna cover a lot of ground tonight, and some of it I'm gonna skim the surface because I actually want you to be more action-oriented tonight. And I'm gonna refer you to Bonfire for some of the nitty-gritty details that you can then just start learning more and more of. If you want to take a picture of the screen, you can. And it's bonfirehealth.com. That's bonfirehealth.com. And so when I saw this platform many years ago, I just saw that the folks that created this, they spent about $1 million, and it took them 3 years to create it. And when I saw it, it was so robust, I said, I'm joining you. So I became one of the only bonfire doctors right here in Vermont. So I want you to use this program. And just because it's free, don't undervalue it at all. It's fantastic, okay? So let's now jump right into this. And I want to first introduce you to somebody that I worked with in my practice. And I want to show you what's possible. So Donna, she came into the practice because she had low back pain, because she had a knee problem. That was why she came in, and somebody said, I think Dr. Heather can help you with that. And so she comes in, and we do a full exam with her. Here's Donna. We do a full exam with her to discover, can I help or not? And you guys that are in the practice, you know how extensive our exam is. We look at under every rock, right? We examine every part of your nervous system to know what's going on, to know whether we can help. And then from that, we come up with recommendations. So Donna, she heard the recommendations and she followed them. And I'll tell you what, she was from Waitsfield. So she had every reason to say, it's too far to come, it's too hard, it's too expensive. And she was a small business owner, like she had every reason. But she said, no, I got to do this. And so she started the program and she stayed with it. She followed every recommendation. 1 year later, this is what she says. Oh, my back feels stronger than it ever has. My low back no longer aches. Ringing in my ears stopped. My eyes have improved. I'm able to see better at night. I went to my eye doctor. My right eyesight improved by 1 click and my left by 2 clicks. She literally changed her prescription, right? She was living with chronic headaches. They were gone. She was going through menopause, having hot flashes that were keeping her up at night. It stopped. She had high blood pressure. It was much better. And her doctor had her on an aspirin a day and some other medications for hot flashes. She was able to get off of them. She lost 60 pounds and 40 inches in 1 year. Talk about transformation. And when I say she lost 60 pounds, she probably got closer to 80 pounds healthier because some of that weight that she took off was fat, but then she built muscle. So she put on weight that it was muscle weight, right? So transformation occurred. How did she do it? She just followed our recommendations. That's what she did. So tonight, I'm going to give you recommendations, and I want to clarify. These are not suggestions. Oh, maybe you do it, maybe you don't. These are recommendations. If you really want to get healthier with your weight, then I'm going to tell you what I think it's going to take. And we're going to be broad tonight because when I work with individuals, I'm very specific. And we uncover exactly where are the pieces that this person needs that's different from their neighbor and different from their sister and different from their cousin and different from their coworker. So everybody's different, but I want to give you a broad view so that if you're kind of the do-it-yourselfer, you're going to have great material that you can go out and just launch this and just start to make the changes. And if you're someone that you've already tried a lot of this and it's still not working, then we're going to need to sit down and look closely at it because we're going to have to uncover what's getting in the way and what's stopping you. All right? Does that sound fair? All right. So that's what Donna's results were. Now let's just take a look at the first question I asked Donna when she came in. And she didn't come in for weight was not why she came in. Why did she come in? I said, what's your objective? And she said, well, I got back pain. I said, yeah, but what's your objective? Do you just want that back pain to go away? And she said, well, that would be nice. I said, well, you could go take some Tylenol for that. That might happen pretty quick, right? She goes, no, that's not what I want. I don't like the drug thing. No, I want to get healthier. I said, that I can help you with. That I can help you with. So what is your objective? Is it to lose weight, right? We could chop a leg off. You're 20 pounds lighter, right? Yeah, maybe more. Is it to avoid disease? Right? Do you understand what it means, what overweight actually equals? We're going to cover that tonight, and we're not going to hold back on it. We're going to tell the truth about it. Is it to increase your strength and your speed? You want to feel more fit in your body. Do you want better performance, better capacity, better function? So if you know me at all, you know that we measure progress. It's not just about feeling better. We're measuring our progress. So I want you to think in your mind right now, what are the important parameters for you that you would want to be measuring to see whether you're covering ground or not? And sure, the scale can be useful in some ways, but I hate that scale. I hate that scale
because I'll have people that will drop fat and build muscle, and in the end they'll say, hey, I gained a pound. I said, yeah, you lost 20 pounds of fat and gained 21 pounds of muscle. I'd sign up for that all day long. Do you see? So the weight can be tricky, because if that's all you're using as your measurement, you're not at all looking at what's happening to your body. How is your body transforming? It's better to go with measuring your body shape, the inches. That's a better, easy way to measure. It's also good to measure your performance, right? How much robustness do you have? Carrying a lot of weight around takes a lot more energy, right? When you start to lose the fat and gain the muscle, right? Now you're clocking, right? So start to think about what is it that you want to be measuring that really motivates you, that really moves you, right? For some people, right? And we talk about what are the things that you want. Look at those biomarkers, right? We can measure body fat index and biomass and performance. We can even talk about how you look, right? How many people here, you don't have to raise your hands, but I just want to put it out there. How many people here would know that they got results if they felt like they looked good naked, right? That would be awesome, right? Wouldn't it, right? So there's a way to measure it. How do you think you look, right? But it's not the only way, because we know that we have people that are struggling with the whole weight thing and have a distorted image of their body. And it's not healthy for them to rely on their image of their body, right? So it has become such a big problem that has so many layers to it. It's so complex. So let's unpack this tonight and really understand what's going to be the right thing for you as your next steps. And now remember, I am action-oriented. So as we go through this, I want you to be thinking about what are your action steps going to be. I want you to be thinking about when you leave here tonight, what are your action steps going to be? This is not about nice information or entertainment. This is about moving the dial. So I am going to challenge all of you to think about what are the action steps you're ready to do, right? Because think about it. There may be two groups of people in this room. The first group is people that have been making changes and they like the outcomes that they're getting. And so they want to keep doing what they've been doing because it's working. And they want to keep getting what they're getting. And then there's another group of people that they've been trying to do things and they're kind of stuck. And if they keep doing what they've been doing, they're going to keep getting what they've been getting, which is not what they want, right? You get that? So we want to clarify what are the good things you want to stop doing, and keep doing so that you get the results that you want. All right. Looking good, feeling great, functioning better. Functioning better has to be part of that equation, or you will be sabotaging what you're doing. Is that right? You get that? Right? So, do you know that, you can go to the mall and you'll see the skinny jeans out there, and there's kind of this image, and maybe even the words are right there, because I did see it one Christmas when I was going through the mall, right? That says, skinny's the new sexy. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a tragic message to be sending to young women that's just getting programmed into their brains, and how they're setting them on a path that is going to be unhealthy. So I want to change that paradigm. Who's with me here, right? Healthy is the new sexy. And do you know that if we go back 40,000 years and we look at genetic programming, genetically, we really are designed to be attracted to healthier people. Genetically, we're designed for that. Why would that be? Because that's how we continue the species, right? If we're attracted to the diseased, sickly ones that are going to die off or give those diseased, sickly genes, right? There goes the species, right? So we actually have it genetically programmed. When we see skinny is the new healthy, that's marketing. That's going against genetic programming. Okay, so who's with me here? Healthy is the new sexy. Everybody's up for that. Great. So here are the brutal facts. Here are the brutal facts, and this comes from what the research is telling us. The present obesity epidemic is both troubling and informative, because adiposity, obesity, overweight, is largely caused by poor diet, meaning excess calories, and inadequate physical activity. The emphasis is more on the downstream risk factors such as hypertension, dyslipidemia, and diabetes. And these address neither the root causes of obesity nor its full cardiovascular consequences. So basically, when you go to the doctor, they're looking at what is now manifesting, right? But they're not actually looking at the root causes of what got you there in the first place, right? And this is from the journal Circulation, which is one of the hardest journals to get published in. So you know that this is going to be pretty good science that we're seeing here. What else? An abundance of evidence suggests that lifestyle factors, including exposure to chemical carcinogens, physical inactivity, there it is again, and diet, there it is again, play major roles in the development of common cancers. The current human diet contains a variety of mutagens and carcinogens that lead to the initiation of cancer and other chronic diseases, right? See how these links are happening between obesity and cancer, obesity and cardiovascular disease. And again, this is from the Journal of Applied Physiology. Here's one from Clinical Diabetes. The prevalence of overweight U.S. adults has increased dramatically during the past 30 years, with type 2 diabetes representing what is perhaps the most serious obesity-related consequence, right? Nearly 90% of individuals with type 2 diabetes are overweight, right? They're cousins. They're directly connected. So obesity has these downstream conditions: heart disease, diabetes, cancer, right? So this idea of just kind of looking good, right? Let's get real about this. It's not an aesthetic thing, right? Losing weight or getting your healthier weight, it's not aesthetic. It's a reflection of what's happening in your physiology, in your health, right? Okay, so go with me here. Go with me here. Fat equals sick, right? We're normalizing obesity in our country, and we're trying to make people feel good about their bodies. I'm all for them feeling good about their bodies, but not if they're just going to then wallow in just being fat. Oh, well, fat is beautiful, right? I'm okay with the self-esteem piece. I am not okay with normalizing it and saying that nothing's wrong, right? There's an elephant in the room, right? And it's about social appropriateness and using the word fat. Okay, I get all that, but we have to get real about this. If you don't get your head around this, forget it. You will never reach that goal of being healthier, right? So fat is sick, right? Fat is a symptom. It's a symptom that you're not practicing healthy lifestyle choices, right? It's a sign we have to pay attention to if you want to be healthy. What people are currently doing is not working, right? How many people just know about that whole roller coaster that people go through where they drop the pounds, then they kind of fall off that very restrictive diet, right? And then they're cheating, and then they're giving up, and then the pounds come right back on, right? Many people will go through the roller coaster year after year, and they just add another 5 pounds each year that never goes away, another 5, another 5, another 5, right? And then they just start to go, well, that's just aging then, right? Yeah, it's not. It is not aging. It's not. Think 40,000 years ago, right? Did our ancestors, every year, was it genetically designed that they would add 5 pounds every year? No, no, nope, no. It's a current symptom of our culture that has gone sideways with our lifestyle, right? What it's pushing us towards, it's gone sideways. So what people are currently doing is not working. Fat is a symptom of that. It's the canary that's tweeting very loudly that the choices that we're making are not working. So the problem is that fat is a symptom of a chronic hormonal imbalance. That's what's going on. It's a chronic hormonal imbalance. We're going to unpack this tonight. Adiposity, extra body fat, is a symptom of chronic hormone imbalance. Hormones and enzymes are what regulate fat storage. Hormones and enzymes are what regulate fat storage. You must regain hormonal balance through specific lifestyle changes and choices. Remember, this is about choice. The choices you're making that will directly impact hormone balance if you ever wish to conquer your weight and health issues, right? And that goes both directions, right? It's not just overweight, but if somebody's underweight, it's all based on what's happening with your hormones. So we have the perfect hormone storm happening in our culture. Check out what we have engineered in our culture over the past 5 generations or so. And it's getting worse and worse every year. It's getting worse and worse. Toxic, deficient food choices. That's a big one. That is a big one. Energy imbalance, which means a combination of sedentary lifestyle coupled with overeating, excessive calories. And then when you add to that environmental toxins, which are, again, under the radar for a lot of people. Many people are not even aware of how much exposure to environmental toxins they have. Then you add to that chronic social stress, also which has become normalized, right? People don't even know they're stressed anymore because it's just, they look around them, everybody's the same, yeah? Lack of sleep and chronic exhaustion, also which has become normalized, right? We're gonna unpack all of this. And the result is we get weight loss resistance. Weight loss resistance. What does that mean? It means you're doing everything that they're telling you to do and the weight's not coming off, right? Something's getting in the way. You're going to leave here tonight completely understanding what could be getting in the way and knowing where to look for it. So when we think of weight loss resistance, it's going to be linked to inflammation. It's going to be linked to inflammation. So we have to actually address the inflammation if we're going to be able to address the weight loss resistance. And we like to look at it with a 3-legged stool. Anybody here ever tried to sit on a 2-legged stool? Right? Whoa, wobbly, right? If we want a solid change to happen, it's going to be 3 legs. So the first leg is healing and sealing the gut. And there are some amazing strategies that are out there that really accomplish that. I've been working with people over the last few years, really targeting this because we're learning so much more about the gut, right? And how much the gut has an impact on our health in so many ways. And so for weight, it's going to be a big part of that. What is happening in your gut? How is your body absorbing or not absorbing nutrients? And so we have to heal and seal the gut. The second thing is fixing it right down to the cell level. Right down, the cell has to be healthy, right? Not just whether you're sweating or not, or exercising, or what you see on the scale. We have to be looking at how healthy is the cell itself. That's where the real change is going to come. Because if you never get the cell healthy, then you're just going to keep returning to the unhealthy state. This is going to set you up for recreating what you're trying to change. The third aspect is addressing the stress. Addressing the stress, because stress is part of what causes us to pack weight on. And you're going to understand this as we go through this. So let's unpack each one of these. First, healing and sealing the gut. Check out these 2 mice. These 2 mice are genetically identical. Genetically, they are twins, identical twins. They come from the same cells, same genes. One of them was populated with different gut flora than the other. Just the bugs in the gut. That's the only thing that's the difference between the 2 of them. Look at what happened, right? Genetically identical, look what happened. If we don't heal and seal and get that gut healthy, you maybe actually have a gut that is seeded to keep promoting obesity. And you know what? If they took the gut flora out of this mouse and put it into that mouse, what do you think is going to happen to that mouse? Yeah, the same thing's going to happen. Yeah, because it's not just about the genes. It's about how the genes are expressing in the environment that they're in. So that's a really important part of it. So I just want you to grab onto this idea and know that if we sit down together, we're going to be able to isolate exactly what are the changes that need to happen in your gut, if any at all. The second thing is fixing the cell. So I want to actually go into some detail with this so you really get it. Okay, so this is a cell membrane right here. And then this is the DNA, which we often think of as where the brain of the cell is. People often refer to the DNA as, well, that is where the brain is. That's what's controlling everything that happens in the cell is the DNA. And it's actually not exactly true. And then here's the energy factory right here, which is where the mitochondria are, where we manufacture ATP for energy, right? How many people find that there's a a relationship between gaining weight and losing energy, right? We don't gain weight and gain energy, do we? No. They are related, but in an inverse proportion. So the DNA has all our genes in it. The mitochondria has its own genes as well. These genes will express themselves, but they're going to express so that they can respond to life. That's what they're meant to do. They're not meant to just be sitting there in a vacuum. They're meant to respond to life. That's the reason that we have the DNA, is to be able to respond to life. And so life is happening out here. And so the signaling, the messaging goes in, and it gets to the cell membrane. And we've got these receptors on the cell membrane for all of the different chemicals in our body. And chemicals like thyroid hormone, vitamin D, insulin, right? Those are some of the chemicals that'll come up to the edge of the cell, and then they have to fit into the receptor. As soon as they fit into the receptor on that cell membrane, boom, the message gets into the cell and gets to the DNA. And the DNA says, I got that, and now I'm going to do something a little differently. I'm going to push these buttons to work instead of these ones because of what the cell needs now, because of what is happening in the environment. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is a great system, and the other part that has to happen is that the DNA and the cell, the mitochondria, they're burning energy, they're working, and so they're going to take in nutrients to work, and then they're going to give off toxins. And those toxins need to get out of the cell in order to be flushed out of the body. Okay, so this is a two-way membrane where the nutrients and the messaging goes in, and then the toxins have to come out. Okay? Now watch. If we are living in an inflammatory lifestyle, the cell membrane can get inflamed. And when that happens, now the messenger comes knocking at the door and the receptor site is not accessible. And so it's harder for the message to get in. And if the message isn't getting in, the DNA is waiting for the message, waiting, not hearing any message, hearing it every now and then, responding every now and then, okay? So if insulin, for example, which is what processes blood sugar, right, moves blood sugar, if we have these big spikes in blood sugar, that creates inflammation. Then the insulin runs out to try and take care of that. Oh, here comes some more blood sugar. Oh, the insulin comes again. Here comes some more. After a while, this membrane gets inflamed. Now the insulin is knocking at the door, and that's called what? Insulin resistance. Okay? So when you start to hear about hormone resistance, what about thyroid hormone resistance? Right? You see where this is going? What about I'm taking tons of vitamin D and I'm still low? Right? Where is that resistance happening? It's happening on the cell membrane. So if we don't fix the cell membrane, right? You know what it's like? Okay, anybody had this experience with their kid? Mommy, right? And mommy's screaming, the kid is screaming, and if mommy's like on her device or, busy doing something else, not responding, right? More and more inputs trying to get through to get the attention, right? Mm-hmm. How about this? You go to the gas station, right? Your tank's on empty, right? You pull up, you take the gasoline, and you pour it on the car. Does that work? It's not getting in, is it, right? It's all around the outside of the car. It's not going to work, right? The messages, the chemicals, they have to get into the cell. So if we don't fix the cell membrane, how are we ever going to get that level of health that you want, right? All right. So toxins are another piece that will create the inflammation in the cell membrane. Toxins, and some of those are hidden. So anybody ever heard of heavy metal toxicity? Okay, that's one of the things that will promote this. Yeah, and one of the places that we can hide toxins in our body, try to safely store them, is in the fat tissue. So if your body says, hey, I got it safely stored there, if we liberate that fat tissue, our body's going to get flooded with those toxins. So if we don't actually get the toxins out first, our body's not going to want to let go of that fat because it's a safe place to store them. right? So heavy metal toxicity. So we have to know whether or not we're toxic. We've got to figure that out too. And so there are ways that we can figure that out. Hey, Jackie, can you get a chair for her? Yeah?
Jackie, you can sit here.
Yeah, come on in. Watch your, go that way.
Excuse me.
Obstacle course, yeah. Okay, so how do you know if you're toxic? Whoops. There are actually 3 tests that I rely on for this that give me a lot of information. And the first one is actually a questionnaire that asks very specific questions that help us identify even particular types of toxins, whether it's heavy metal toxicities or more biotoxins, molds, or that sort of thing, or just general toxicity that we have in the environment. This questionnaire actually gives me a lot of information. And then this test right here, we call it the meta-oxy test. It literally is measuring cell inflammation. It's one of the best ways to measure that. It's way better than a blood test. And so we use this. It's actually, if it cost $1,000, it would be worth it for the amount of information you get from it, to literally be able to measure how that cellular inflammation is going and whether it's changing. The third test I use is, this is a neurological test. It's a vision test, and it's measuring a particular part of your vision. So it's not like not measuring whether you need glasses or not. It's actually measuring your nervous system, and it tells us whether your nervous system is under load from toxicity. So these are 3 beautiful tests that work so well for me to identify whether the cell is actually inflamed. And so then if we do discover that it's inflamed, then this is the roadmap that we need to look at. Now, how many people, if you think of detoxing, and I'm just going to bring that in right now because sometimes when people are looking to lose weight, they realize that detox might be part of that picture, that plan, right? So when you think of detox, right, usually you're thinking of, your gut, your liver detox, maybe the kidneys, maybe the lymph. Liver is kind of the most common one. I'm going to do a liver detox, or I got to detox my gut, my bowels. I'm going to do some psyllium or some, fiber, try to get that detox, right? These are the organs that do need to carry those toxins out of our body, but they're downstream. They're the downstream organs. And they're ready and willing, hopefully, but not always, because sometimes they're not working so well. And so if you dump the toxins from one part of the liver, but the other part isn't ready to push it along through, that's miserable. That's when you feel like, oh, I got that side effects of I'm detoxing. I feel terrible, right? That's because the liver is actually not doing the job of moving it all the way through. So these are the downstream organs. When people do, chlorella cleanses or juice fasts or those kinds of things, like you've heard of the lemon juice, the maple syrup, and the cayenne, the olive oil, right? We try that one, right? So all kinds of amazing ideas, and they all have benefit, but it's pretty much mostly with these downstream parts. And not only does it have to get out of these storage areas, but then it gets to the gut, and it has to get all the way out of the gut and into the toilet, right? Because what happens in the large intestines? What's the large intestine's job? Is to absorb water. And so you get those toxins all the way down into the large intestine, all of a sudden the large intestine is doing its job, reabsorbing them, recycling them back in again. So if you're not doing it right, you're just going to kick it back into the system again. So this system, it's called True Cellular Detox. It's actually quite an amazing system because it has 3 phases to it and 3 components. So I want you to just notice here, here's the cell up here. We just talked about the cell. So we need to get the cell membrane healthier so we can start to get the toxins out of the cell and start moving them through these downstream organs and then all the way out. The brain has a special barrier, right? That's supposed to be harder for toxins to get into, but once they're in, it's harder to get them out. And so that's another whole piece to this puzzle, is really how do we detox it at the brain level, right? And some of those heavy metals, the brain is a magnet for them. That's directly where they go. We don't even see them in the rest of the body. And for many years, we thought that, oh, no, they're not even there, right? The body must have just gotten rid of them until we started to look in the brain, and that's where they're being hidden, right? So that's a big problem. So we need to have a system that's going to take it all the way from the deepest parts of the cell in the brain, get it all the way through the detox organs, and then all the way out of the body, safely out of the body. So if we look at the three components and the three phases, the first phase is what we call the 5 R's. So we have to first remove the sources of toxins coming in. Let's just stop putting them in, right? We have to identify that. We want to regenerate that cell membrane, restore the mitochondria, the cellular energy. We want to reduce the inflammation in the cell, and then reestablish methylation, which is what we really need to do detox properly and not get overloaded. And it's so important for so many functions in the body, not even just detox, but so many functions. We want to make sure, again, that we are opening and supporting the detox pathways, and we want to use true binders to remove those toxins all the way out and flushing them right down the toilet. The 3 phases are simply first to prepare all these downstream pathways so they're ready to take on the toxins that are going to come, and then to actually set up a concentration gradient where we're now going to be setting up the space around the cells to be clearing of toxins. So now there's a place for those toxins to go. If there's so much toxins around the cell, the body's turning off cell phones. Yeah. So we want to remove the toxins around the cell so that now there's a draw that takes the toxins right out of the cell into the environment, right? And then out of the environment into the detox organs and out of the body. Yeah? And then finally, when we've got that concentration gradient going, then we can go deeper and really go right into the brain phase as well. So it's a pretty extensive program. If toxicities are part of the reason why you have weight loss resistance, if inflammation in the cell is part of that, then this is a great program for it. And it's very extensive. It includes a whole training program. It includes supplements. So it's a good way to go if this is what's going on. Okay, so that's the second factor. But then the third factor with weight loss and inflammation is addressing the stress. And so in my office, that's actually one of the things I'm known for in the community. Like, you're stressed, go see Dr. Heather. She's going to help you with that, right? Like, Cheryl, how's that adjustment you had today, right? Yeah. She came floating off the table, right? So literally, the adjustments turn the stress switch off. Tonight is not the night that I go into the details about that, but if stress is part of the reason why you are storing and holding fat or not able to put that fat on, right? If it's stress mode, then you need to have some methods that you're using that are going to address that, and getting the nervous system clear is going to be part of that. Now, again, just this is a quick soundbite, but I want you to take it in. What's the master control organ of the entire body? Brain. Brain sends the messages down the spinal cord, out through the nerves to go to every cell and back again. As long as the messages get from the brain to the cells and back again without interference, you get to be healthy. But if there's anything interfering with those pathways, now we start to see breaking down of function in the body. Okay? Thyroid has a lot to do with our weight management, right? What if the nerve supply to the thyroid is interfered with? Could that be one of the factors that's holding you back from getting the results that you want with changing your body, right? What if your adrenals are being affected, right? You're in stress mode all the time, burnt out, right? What if it's in the digestive tract? What if you're actually not taking the nutrients in that you need, or you're not actually moving them through? What if you've got a sluggish gut, and that's because of nerve interference? You see? So having a healthy nervous system is a really important part of having a healthy life, and it actually could be the linchpin for some people when it comes to weight loss resistance, or just getting that ideal body, getting a healthier weight. So in our office, we use the adjustments as part of it to get the nerve supply to the organs clearer and to turn the stress switch off. We also have spinal exercises to just get that spine stronger and stronger and stronger, because how many people here have ever had an injury to their extremity, to a knee, to their back, where they couldn't exercise? Right? Okay, what's that going to do with your weight goals if you can't exercise? That's going to get in the way. So you have to have a healthy body to be able to exercise safely and healthfully. And so the spinal exercises actually help you to be stronger and stronger, fitter and fitter, faster and faster, because we know we're going to want you to be getting back into your life, not living around it anymore. Nope, getting into it and living the life you want to live the way you choose on your terms. So that's an important part. And then we've got to train you on breaking the bad habits about how you eat, how you move, and how you think, because these are the stresses that will cause the nerve interference that got you in the first place with nerve interference. Subluxations, we call that. And so this is, again, an important part of all the care in this office, but you can see how important this is going to be if you have getting a healthier weight, right? So we literally will teach you the best strategies about turning the stress switch off for you to do, not just relying on the adjustments, but you do this. We're going to teach you in 30 seconds how to turn the stress switch off, right? I'm not going to teach you how to meditate for 3 hours a day because I don't have time for that in my own life. And that could work for some people, but I'm going to teach you what works for living a full life, like how to turn that stress switch off in 30 seconds. That's what we do here. So addressing the stress is going to be important as well. Make sense? Okay, so how do we regain control of our hormones? Okay, so first, food quality, right? Oh, I hear people say, I don't believe that whole organic thing. Like, it's just more expensive, that's all. Wrong, 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 right? Conventional foods are going to be loaded with something called glyphosate, which is Roundup, which is what they spray on so many conventional foods. Grains, especially grains. And grains are a big part of our conventional diet, right? So food quality does matter. And getting it local where you know the farmer is the best place to go, right? It's going to be the freshest, it's going to be the richest density, especially if you know that farmer is taking care of their soil. Then you know that's really rich nutrients coming into that food. You'll get so much more out of that food for nutrients for your body than the conventional stuff that has been sitting in a truck for a week, coming across the country, sprayed, right? All, picked green, not even ripe, but it's picked, right? So quality matters. Food quantity matters. That matters too. Food rhythms matters. What do I mean by rhythms? I'm going to keep referring back to our genetic predisposition. What do we set up for genetically? What are the demands on us genetically, right? So imagine 40,000 years ago when our genes were set, right? What would our rhythm of eating have been? It would have been something like this. Kill the rabbit, eat the brains first, eat the organs next, eat the flesh next, suck on the marrow and the bones. And then, oh, you didn't kill it, didn't get a rabbit the next day, or the next day, or the next day. We're going to be vegetarian for a few days. And then it might even be a few weeks. Oh, here comes a rabbit. Oh, get that rabbit, right? And we're going to eat that rabbit. Do you see that rhythm, right? Mm-hmm. It's not bananas every single day, right? Because we can buy them, right? It's not steak and potatoes every single day because we can buy them, right? That's not at all what we were genetically designed for. So our rhythm and with the seasons, right? Mm-hmm. We can pretty much have. I remember when I was little thinking how amazing it would be. My birthday's in November, to have watermelon for my birthday, and that would never happen. It'd be impossible. No, you can get it in November now. Yeah. Right. So food rhythms, activity levels is part of it. Social stress is part of it. Sleep patterns is part of it. And detoxing, cellular detox is part of it. That's all. This is all what we need to be looking at if we're going to be regaining control of our hormones. So what are the top 5 dieting lies, right? Weight problems run in my family. Just eat less and you'll lose weight. That's all you do. You're just eating too much. Just eat less. Calories are calories. I'm just going to count those calories, right? I'll just work it off at the gym, or sleep has nothing to do with it, right? I'm pulling an all-nighter. I got work to do, right? We're going to unpack these. So first, weight problems run in my family. Okay, we're going to look closely at this because some people actually do think that it's because of their family's genetics that they're just, that's just the way it is. It's my family. Nothing I can do about it. That's what people think. Let's just unpack this. Let's just look a little closer than just what you're reading in Oprah. Okay? I love Oprah, but don't we always see the articles and it drives me crazy sometimes. All right, weight runs in the family. This is what you need to know about genes and how they play out. They're part of the composition. Your body composition, genes is part of it, but only one part of it. Another part of it is your environment. Another part of it is your lifestyle. Okay, so check it out. When we think of our genes, right? Our ancestors, 40,000 years ago, there was no obesity. But we have the same genes. We have the same genes now that we had 40,000 years ago. They were passed on, right? Think about this. If there was a famine, 40,000 years ago, if there was a famine, and genetically you had the genes that could store more fat, you'd survive, wouldn't you? There's an advantage to that. There's an advantage to that. The problem is that our current environment is not what we were genetically designed for, right? Imagine, caveman days, right? And having, Fred Flintstone, everybody, I'm not dating myself too much here, right? Fred Flintstone, right? In his little car, and he drives up to the
McDonald's.
and they throw food in at you, right? Like, our ancestors never had food thrown at them, right? They could never, call and have it brought to the cave, right? No. They had to work for it, right? They had to work for it. So our environment is definitely it's going to interact with our genes and our lifestyle. So our environment, what else is that? It's not just the food in your fridge, right? That's part of the environment that you're creating, right? It may be the relationships you're having. Maybe you were born into a dysfunctional, stressed out family. Okay, that's part of your environment. Maybe you're living in LA and breathing all those toxic fumes in. That's part of your environment, right? So we're somewhat limited on how much we can change our environment. But lifestyle, that's 100% choice, right? We're the ones bringing the food into our environment, right? That's choice, lifestyle. So when we have all these intersecting, this is where your body composition is created from all those overlapping. Does this make sense? Okay. Okay, so these are the trends in obesity that we are seeing. So this is 1990. This is a long, long time ago, 1990, right? Yeah, if we go back 10,000 years, right, there's no obesity anywhere on this landmass. Doesn't exist, right? But if we go back 1990, we're going to start measuring it because it's starting to be noticeable that it's a problem, right? 1980 is when the problem really starts to get hammered in 1990s, and we're better start measuring this because this is getting out of control. So you can see what this is here. We've got the light blue is less than 10%, and it goes all up to the red, right? So in 1990, there was no reds, no oranges, no yellows. There were blues. There were dark blue, light blues, right? And so those were the places of more obesity, where it's darker blue. Vermont was part of that. 1998. Interesting. We get that really dark blue now. Oh, Vermont's not actually hitting they kind of stabilized there, right? But we'll look at how the whole grain belt happening here, right? The Mississippi Delta happening here, right? California, abundance, breadbasket. And then check out 2006. Look at the red happening here. Louisiana. And what's that? Who knows what's West Virginia. Yeah. And then we've got all these, right? Look at these percentages. Over 30% of the population is morbidly obese here, right? Over 30%. 1 in 3. 1 in 3 obese. What is obesity? It's when over 30% of your body is fat. That's obesity definition, right? And this is what it's measuring, obesity, over 30% of your body fat, right? 25, right? Can you see this? So here we had, 10, maybe 15% happening, right? And those of you that were, most of us here actually, right? We were all alive in 1990. We were all adults in 1990. And when you looked around, right, it probably was about that percentage, right? And now, we're talking 1 in 3, right? Yeah. Okay. Whoops. So if we look at genes, environment, lifestyle, it's all about how you eat, how you move, and how you think. It's your environment, your relationships, your strategies, and your choices. It's your choices. It's your plan. If you are living by default in this culture, you are headed for obesity. If you're doing what the commercials and the media tells you to be doing, and when you go to the grocery store, what the packaging and marketing is telling you to do, right? You're headed for obesity. And if you're headed for obesity, what else is heading your way too? Cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, right? Yeah, yeah. And the marketing is good. Oh, they are so good. And who is the marketing targeting? The kids. Let's just get them hooked, and they'll get to experience disease faster than we do. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. You know how I'm now teaching kids? I'm saying, you know that story of Snow White and the 7 dwarfs? Oh yeah, I know that story, yeah. Remember the witch, when she showed up, what did she have in her hand? Oh, an apple. And she offered that apple to Snow White, and it was all shiny, it looked so good. And the witch said, taste it, it's delicious, taste it, it's delicious. And Snow White said, okay. She bit it. What happened to her? She got poisoned, right? Now I'm teaching the kids, when you go to the grocery store, all those things that look so good, those are witches. That's poison, right? Don't put that in your body. It looks good. It even tastes good. It's poison, and they get it. They get it. They get that somebody's trying to pull something over on them. It's the marketers that are trying to do that. They get that. So when we think of genes and body composition, genes are wonderful because it gives us our uniqueness. Any one of these could be ideal weight. Stop trying to look like magazine pictures. Stop it, right? You just want to be your own beautiful self, but you want it to be a healthy self, right? So all of these people actually could be saying that they look great when they look in the mirror, right? Don't stop the images, right? Just stop it now, and look at, am I fit? Am I robust? Right? Am I toned? Right? How do I feel? Do I feel good? Meaning, do I have good energy? Do I have all the energy that I want? Do I feel good about the choices that I'm making? That's part of feeling good, right? Because you can sneak and no one will know, but you'll know, right? Yeah. So when we talk about 15 pounds healthier, we specifically said it's not about weight loss. It's about 15 pounds healthier. What would it be like if you were to drop 8 pounds of fat and gain 7 pounds of muscle? That'd be 15 pounds healthier, right? So body composition is part of it, but it's the amount of lean tissue versus fatty tissue. And there are optimal ranges, and women are going to be higher than men just because that's our shape, because of the functions that we have in life, right? And biomarkers, so the scale is one of those, but again, please don't rely on the scale. I'd rather you not use the scale at all if it's going to sabotage your progress. Abdominal measurement is a really good one to use. A really good one to use is just that circumference of the abdomen. And then looking at body fat percentage is another good way to go. Simple, good ways to go. Okay, just eat less and you'll lose weight. Okay, how many people have tried that one? I'm just going to eat less, right? And then you're hungry. And then it's not long, right? Once you start to get hungry, it's not long. You're not going to be strong enough, right? Why? It's genetic design, right? We want the species to survive. We don't want to go hungry. That means suicide if you're letting yourself go hungry, right? So if all you're doing is I'm just going to eat less, right? It's not going to work, right? Now, there is a difference between gorging so you're uncomfortable and eating until you're just not hungry. There's a difference between that. So paying attention, being conscious when you're eating. And, okay, anybody here grow up with the Clean Plate Club? Me too. That is a curse. Just stop that one right now, right? Stop that one right now. So eat less and you'll lose weight, right? So food deprivation is always going to fail. It's always going to fail. Why? Because it's short term and then you fall off of it and then you gorge, right? Forget about it, right? It's a yo-yo, and the yo-yo is the most dangerous. That's the most unhealthy because you will tend to pack on more and more weight with every time that yo-yo goes up and down. You'll gain more and more and more. And that's genetic. because your body's saying, okay, we just went through a starvation period, right? We're going to pack it on. We'll be ready for the next time that happens, right? And the metabolic changes actually are going to undermine you. It's not a healthy metabolic change to do the yo-yo thing. And your body will go into survival mode. Now, there is something to be said. People ask me, what about fasting? Fasting is actually an ancient healing strategy that will help to heal and seal the gut, for example, and can actually help to drop inflammation in the body and can help to detox the body. So there are ways to do it in a healthy way. But simply just trying to eat less, I'm just going to eat less, right? And so I'm hungry all the time, but I'm going to still eat a little, but I'm going to eat less. I'm just going to graze. I'm just going to have a handful of nuts. And I'm going to have a salad. I'm going to have a salad for lunch and a salad for supper. No dressing, right? But somehow I gained 77 pounds, right? And so when someone says that to me, I'm like, we got to look closer at that. And they said, but I just had a salad for lunch and a salad for dinner. Okay, any snacking in there? Oh yeah, just just a few nuts and just just a little piece of chocolate. Well, maybe a couple. right? Okay, now we uncover what happened. The snacking is what's going to take you out, right? So, fasting. Okay, are you about? I'm going to blow your mind now with the fasting piece. How long could one fast? How long could you safely fast? Check it out. A 27-year-old obese Scotsman weighed 456 pounds. Okay, he's got some goals, right?
Yeah.
He drank only water for 382 days. That's more than a year.
No way.
More than a year. He lost 276 pounds. And he achieved his target weight of 180 pounds. What's interesting about this, because I did a little bit more research, I read the full story here. When he got to 180 pounds, he started to feel hungry. That whole year, he didn't feel hungry. And he started to feel hungry, and he stopped his fast. His body said, okay, now you're good. Time to start putting food in. The thing that was interesting, and he never gained the weight back. Years and years later, never gained the weight back. All his nutrition markers actually remained normal. So they were doing blood tests on this guy, watching very carefully. His electrolytes in the beginning were upside down, and then they eventually normalized and became stable without any supplementation. No supplements. His depression lifted. All his neurotransmitters and hormones all became normal. Everything normalized. Isn't that incredible? Yeah. And his is not the only story like this. Yeah. But it's an incredible one. So I wanted to blow your mind because I actually want you to be thinking, well, let's see. She just said food deprivation we shouldn't do. But wait a minute. Now she's saying fasting could actually help this guy, got him healthy. How does that work? I want you to inquire. I want you to be thinking and inquisitive about that. Because fasting actually can be a really great ancient healing strategy to be using. And I will guide people in that when I'm working with them. And I'll teach them the healthy ways to do that. Calories are calories, right? Oh, I remember growing up, they had those little booklets that you would be right at the grocery store, right at checkout, right? The little pocket-sized booklets that had all the calories of what, every food, what the calories were. And you just had to count your calories. And what was the magic number for calories per pound? Right? Don't remember? Wasn't it 3,500?
Wow.
Wasn't it? Something about
reduce
your calories by 3,500 per week, and you would lose
500 a day.
500 a day, right? Yeah, I knew it was in there, right? It got programmed in, didn't it? Yeah.
500 calories a day?
Yeah.
Yeah, reduce
Wow.
500 calories a day.
Oh,
And so,
reduce.
you drop 500 calories a day. And then, you get to a certain point, and then you kind of plateaued, right? Anybody know this, right? And then you say, well, maybe I'll just drop 500 more, right? Right? Watch what direction that strategy's going in, right? Look at the Scotsman, right? He stopped eating. Sure, he lost the weight. But if you think that you can stop putting calories in and you're just going to drop the pounds week after week, it doesn't work that way. Your body actually will start to get more efficient. It'll start to run on less and less. Yeah, genetic programming. That's our genetic design. So we've got the perfect hormonal storm going on here where we have toxic deficient foods that are going in, and those are displacing the healthy foods that are supposed to be going in. So if you think it's just calories, all right, I'm going to have this Twinkie, and I'm just not going to have 5 salads.
Right.
Same calories, right? You can't do it. You can't just look at the calories. And then if we've got sedentary lives, we're not burning the calories. So, you know, if you're not going to be burning the calories, right, then you're going to put them in, right? They're going to go somewhere. And then we've got stress, social stress. And when we have stress, cortisol rises. When cortisol rises, recognize this. Our ancestors had no chronic stress ever, except for one scenario. Like they would have acute stress. Here comes the tiger, run, right? Or here comes the other tribe, fight, right? Or I want that girl, fight, right? It'd be short term though. Short term, right? Conk him on the head, drag him with the hair, right? Isn't that the image? Right?
Not much has changed.
All right. The only chronic stress and social stress, they knew where their place was in the tribe, right? So they actually didn't have a lot of social stress. The only chronic stress they had was famine. So if you are under chronic stress, what strategy is your body going to default to genetically? It's preparing for the famine, right? If the famine's happening, cortisol's running high. Oh, cortisol's high. That means famine. Pack on the weight. Store fat, right? So if we've got that perfect hormonal storm happening, we've engineered our culture for this perfect storm. All right, and then we've got this pyramid, right? Okay, recognize that this is the obesity pyramid. This is the diabetes pyramid, because what's on the bottom? All the breads, grains, and starches, right? And then, okay, put those fruits and vegetables in. You got the meat and the dairy. You got the sweets are actually in the pyramid, right? Toxic foods that shouldn't even be getting into our body at all, including the unhealthy fats, are still in the pyramid, right? So if this is the pyramid you're following, then you're on your way to diabetes and obesity. So stop it. Stop this, right? Let's compare the ancient versus the modern diets. So industrialized modern human, we've got high refined carbohydrates, all the pastas and the pastries, all the white foods, right? We've got the white sugars are part of that, right? Sugar's in everything now, right? You read the ingredients of anything that's in a box, that's in a can, right? There's sugar in there, right? Low fat, who came up with that one, right? That was so undermining of our health. Come up with the low-fat things. And I know who came up with it, actually. I know exactly who came up with it. All the producers of the new edible oils that are supposed to be healthier for you. They came up with that one. Okay, low protein. Stay away from that red meat. That's dangerous. Stay away from it, right? And then the sugary foods. Oh, but everything in moderation. How many people have heard that, right? Okay, in our house, in our family, no sugar. And so we go out somewhere, a potluck or a restaurant, and, here comes the desserts, right? And here, you want some? Well, what's that sweetened with? Sugar? Oh, no, thank you. Oh, it's just a little. That's the comeback. It's just a little. That's what they say, right? And what am I thinking? It's the witch, it's the witch, it's the witch, right? Right? The apples look so good, right? Yeah. Okay. Sugary foods, everything in moderation. All right, think back to Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House on the Prairie. How much sugar would they had in their diet? Weddings, birthdays, funerals. 3 times a year, right? Maybe 5 times a year is when they got the sugar, right? What was moderation then? Okay, that moderation, maybe that's okay, right? Because how many obese people were there back then? Not a lot, right? Yeah, but today, everything in moderation, where the amount of sugar is going up and up and up, forget it. If you're using that as your strategy, you're headed to diabetes and obesity. Maybe a little slower than if you're just following what the marketing tells you to do, right? Okay, that's the modern industrialized human. What about our hunter-gatherer ancestors, they would have had high carbohydrate, meaning plants. They would have had vegetables and fruits. That's what their carbs would have been. No grains, no grains. They were not growing things. They were harvesting them, hunter-gatherer. They would have had plenty of good fat, plenty of good, healthy fat, right? Sucking on that bone marrow, brains, organs, that's where all the fat is, right? High protein would have been part of their diet. High protein. No refined foods, of course. No dairy, no sugar. No sugar, none. Okay, a little honey, if they can get past those bees, right? And then fruits would add the sweet, right? But a handful, right? Yeah, okay? So the results are in. What is the result of going away from this towards this? If you were any other species on the planet, right? Like giraffes, right? Giraffes are going to eat the way they've always eaten, right? They will eat the way they've always eaten. They've got it dialed in, right? Giraffes can't overeat, can they? Right? Okay? If we fed a giraffe the way we're being fed, what would we get? We would get a wild giraffe in captivity. That's what it would look like, right? Now this one is suffering from photoshopitis. Yeah, right, photoshopitis, right? The results are in though, right? Why are we so surprised we're getting what we're getting, right? Okay, it's because we're living so incongruently with what our genes demand of us. So poor food quality fails. The things that are failing with poor food quality. The toxic choices, the foods that just have the toxins in them, that's a poor food choice if it has toxins actually in them, right? And if you're not aware of what those are, Dr. Google will tell you exactly what the toxins are that are in our foods, and it's worth studying. It's worth studying. But do you think you could be safe if you just went with the foods that looked like what our ancestors would have chosen as foods, right? If it doesn't look like something that our ancestors would recognize, then there's a good chance there's some toxins in it, okay? Deficient choices means that the choices we're making are now taking up room in our bellies so that we're not putting the good things in, right? So we're putting deficient things in, but then we're full. And so none of the nutrients are actually getting in. And our body is getting really confused because we're putting something in that tastes like it should have some nutrients and the nutrients are not there. And the body's saying, where are they? And so we actually will overeat because we're not getting the nutrients that should be coming with that. And then the unbalanced choices that we make. So if you're, eating a lot of sugar, even organic sugar, right? And there were, probably 15 years ago, we didn't know. It wasn't on our radar the same way. And so I was vegetarian back then, but there was this one place in Canada, this restaurant that was all vegetarian. I thought, this is awesome. I can eat anything I want here. And of course, they had the desserts that were loaded with sugar, right? Organic sugar, right? But no, it wasn't working. It wasn't working. And so the grainitarians, how about the grainitarians? Now, listen, you can do vegetarianism, you can do veganism, you can do that right. It's hard. It's hard to do that right, but it's possible to do that right, but it's hard. Most people are not doing it right, and they're just grainitarians. That's what they are. And it's going to catch up with them. They'll be good for a little while, and then it's going to catch up with them. So unbalanced choices mean hormonally unbalanced, meaning a glycemic load. The sugars are and the carbs, the simple carbs are creating a glycemic load. So we're going to look at that too. So the hormonal impact from these choices, the hormonal impact is that we're going to be flooding our system with insulin, and these are these are the hormones that are going to be impacted. The insulin and the glucagon, they work kind of yin and yang. One is trying to pull the blood sugar out of the blood vessels, and one is trying to put it back into the bloodstream, depending on what our demands are, depending on what's happening in the environment. So they work hand in hand. Leptin is all about suppressing our appetite, our satiation hormone. So when we've had enough, we want that leptin hormone to hit our brain to tell us, oh, we can stop eating now. And there are things that you can do that can turn that upside down so you don't get the signaling. So you're just eating and eating and eating. And then the ghrelin, this is the hungry hormone, it's called.
And so there are times when it's appropriate to be hungry and then feed that hunger, right? So that Scottish guy, right? Leptin was ruling until he hit 180, and then ghrelin kicked on. It's time to eat, right? Cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and that's going to be affected by poor diet choices as well. And these all are working together. So I want you to think of insulin. I just want you to have it ingrained in your brain that that is the fat storage hormone, right? So anything that you're doing in your lifestyle that is promoting more and more insulin, just think that means promoting more and more fat storage, right? So insulin is what? It's the fat storage hormone. Okay, you got that? It's the fat storage hormone. Insulin is the fat storage hormone. An elevated insulin is going to lock you into fat storage mode, right? So if the insulin just stays turned on because it's not getting into the cell, it's knocking at the door, there's inflammation, it's not getting in, you've got insulin resistance, you're on your way to metabolic syndrome, on your way to diabetes, right? If that insulin resistance is happening, then you are just locked into fat storage mode. Okay, so what causes elevated insulin? It's our food choices, the sugars and the refined carbs, and the dairy. The dairy does act as a sugar, especially if it's low-fat dairy, especially low-fat dairy. The energy imbalance is going to be looking at like excess calories, but of course that is a combination of overeating and under-moving. It's the balance of the energy. It's the overeating combined with the under-moving. So if you're moving a lot, then what you're eating might be appropriate and not overeating compared to somebody that's not moving a lot. And maybe you're used to being active and then you injure yourself and you keep eating the same way, right? Or maybe you're really active in the summer but not so active in the winter, but you keep eating the same way. Or actually what usually happens in the winter, well, there's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, right? When we're piling on, we're eating more when we're less active. Okay? So it's that balance. Now, people that are curious about the glycemic index, of what is that? So the glycemic index is a reference to if you put glucose into the body, a certain amount, kind of 50 to 25 grams, right? You're going to get a certain spike in the blood sugar for a certain amount of time, and then it'll drop out. So this is what the reference point is. This would be counted at 100. And so lentils, for example, will raise the blood sugar just that much, so they would have a rating of 30. Okay, so when you talk about glycemic index, the lower the number is, then the less it's going to spike your blood sugar. If your blood sugar is being spiked, what hormone is being kicked into gear? Insulin. And what is insulin? It's the fat storage hormone. Right. You guys learn fast here. So this is over a 2-hour period that they're measuring it. And so that's what the reference value is, okay? So let's take a look at some foods and what their glycemic index is. Hold on to your seats. Just get ready, because there's going to be some favorites in here. Okay? All right, look at the high one there. I'm going to move over here. Okay? All right, Rice Chex cereal. If you're starting your day with cereal, check out that glycemic index. Pound on the insulin. Fat storage time, right? And we go down like cornflakes, it's the same. Pretzels, Rice Krispies, rice cakes. Rice cakes, isn't that healthy?
That's what people tell you.
That's what you're told, right? Spike your glycemic index, right? Rye bread, waffles, Total. Wait, Total, that's a healthy cereal, isn't it? That's what that witch will tell you, right? Eat this, no poison in there. Graham crackers, Cheerios, bagels. No, not bagels. Well, not if you put cream cheese on. Okay, yeah. Short grain. Oh, rice. Oh, rice is supposed to be so healthy. Corn chips, white bread. Oh, whole wheat bread. Only one glycemic index lower. It doesn't matter if it's whole grain or white. If you're looking at glycemic index, there's going to be a few more nutrients in that whole wheat bread. But as far as glycemic index goes, and what are you concerned about? If you want to get a healthier weight, you are concerned about glycemic index, okay? So organic sugar doesn't matter. Organic bread doesn't matter, right? Okay.
Everybody okay with this bad news that I've delivered, right? And I got to get you on board with this, right? I have to, because otherwise you're just going to talk yourself out of it, and everybody around you is going to talk you out of it, right? So check this out: almost 71% of our energy in our food in the U.S., conventionally speaking, look what they are: refined sugars, refined vegetable oils, grains, dairy, all inflammatory, all going to create inflammation. Create that cell membrane, weight loss resistance is going to be happening here, right? And so this is what our ancestors would have recognized right here, this much. 30% of our diet is what our ancestors would recognize. And if we're putting this in, it means we're not putting some of this in, right? Because this would have been the entire pie for our ancestors, right? Not just 30% of the pie. And so this is displacing all the minimally processed wild plant and animal foods. So these foods are what are comprising typical Western diets, but they were unknown in our ancestral human diets, right? So you see them all there. Honey's the only sweetener that would have been in that ancestral diet. Okay. Alcohol. Oh, darn it. Darn it. Right? Yeah. Okay. So I want to give you a reference with this this timeline. This timeline starts in 1960. And that's the year I was born. And you can see that it seems to kind of gradually going up. I want you to recognize that if we follow this line backwards in time, if we went to the other side of rice lumber, right? That's about probably 3,700 generations ago, right? About 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years ago, other side, and that's the other side of their new development over there, right? That's how long this line has been flat for. It's been exactly flat, squashed all the way down, just zero, right? And then it just starts to rise a little bit. And I'm sure before 1960 it might have been a little bit, right? Excuse me. This is alarming to see this happening if you understand the context here, right? Alarm bells should have been going off. Like right here, 1980, alarm bells should have been going off to see the rise in obesity happening. And they didn't really go off until maybe 10 years later they started to be recognized and go off. So let's look at what was happening here. This starts 1800. This is when sugar was introduced. So Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House on the Prairie, they would have had a little bit of sugar happening, right? Right? And then we go on, and then feedlot produce meats. That was the next industrialization that was happening. Then the refined grains. We started to get the white breads coming in the 1880s for the rich people, for the royalty, got the refined grains. And then it kind of filtered down into the poor masses that wanted to be like the royalty, right? Meanwhile, before that, the peasants were getting the whole grains, right? Yeah. Refined vegetable oils. What are these? Who knows what refined vegetable oils are? Who knows? Corn oil. Canola oil. Soybean oil. Right? Vegetable oils. Crisco.
Yeah.
Right?
I think, is there palm oil in that group too, or not?
Palm oil actually is one of the healthier oils that we can choose. Yeah, it turns out. But it's lumped in there because of it's a saturated oil,
right,
and it's been demonized. Yeah, yeah. So, but refined vegetable oils, yeah, they were introduced, and that was right around the time when not quite yet. We got the hydrogenated oils coming in. Then that's the Crisco. Yep. And like right around, what was it? Probably 1970s, low fat started to come in, right? But check out what happened in 1980s. Who knows what HFCS is?
High
fructose corn syrup. That is what tanked us. That is what was just put us over the top. That is when the obesity started spiking. So 1980s when we introduced high fructose corn syrup. How is that described, that high fructose corn syrup? It's natural. It comes from corn. And it has the same health benefits as sugar. What? Right? Oh, it's the same as sugar. It's not. It's not the same. And besides that, sugar's not healthy, right? But that's the messaging that, oh, it's fine. High fructose corn syrup, it's fine. That was the messaging, right? And it's not fine.
How
at
about
all.
maple syrup?
What about maple syrup?
Is
right?
is that a natural sugar that's okay? Or
Well, at least it's going to have some really good minerals in it, and the glycemic index is not as high as cane sugar, and definitely not as high as high fructose corn syrup. Yeah. So I'm going to actually give you the exchanges. So if you're not ready to go hardcore, I'm going to show you what you can start moving towards. It's going to move you in the right direction. And I just want to say something about that. For some people, going hardcore is the exact way to do it. Like, just go cold turkey, clean out the cupboards, get it out of the house, just do it. Like, for some of you, that is the best way to go. And for others of you, it's better to taper off. But still get it out of the house, just don't bring it back into the house. Yeah. And I'll give you what some healthy exchanges are going to be. But it's still going to have that combination of glucose and fructose in it. And the fructose is the troublesome part. So let's just talk about the elephant in the room again. Sugar. Because it is an addiction. It actually is an addiction. Like, literally, the parts of your brain that light up when you eat sugar are the same ones that light up with people that are addicted to recreational drugs. Yeah, same parts. So we have to recognize it as an addiction and treat it as such, because it is bondage. It is bondage. It is controlling you until you get control of it, right? And so anybody that is, if you talk to, like, let's learn from the alcoholics that we know, right? And they'll tell you they must create a certain environment in their home where there are certain things that do not enter the home. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, there are rules they go by that are absolute. Because if you don't go by them, you're not going to be strong enough. If it gets into the cupboard, you will not be strong enough, right? If Ben & Jerry's gets into the freezer, it's going to be calling out to you, right? And neither Ben nor Jerry belongs in your freezer, because you will not be strong, right? Cherry Garcia. And it's going to be late at night, too, when it happens, and no one's going to know, except the next person that sneaks into it and sees that there's some gone, right? We're not going to be strong enough. We're not going to be strong enough for it. So, right, the alcoholics know, and in fact, alcoholics also know, and addicts know, that if you try to replace your addiction to the alcohol and the drugs, if you try to replace it with sugar, you've lost. You've lost the game, because you will just get back into your addictions. Yeah, absolutely. They will tell you that. They will tell you that it is not the answer. Yeah. So the environment is key. Creating your environment is key. And until you really have kicked it, and then once you have kicked it, then there's no reason that the environment should change. You get what I'm saying? Right? So just don't let it into the house. Just don't do it. Right? Create your environment that's going to help you be successful. Do not set yourself up for failure. Right? And the relationships that you have, you got to have a talk with some people. I'm still having that talk with my mother every time she comes out, right? Want a cookie? No! For 30 years I've been telling you I don't want that cookie, right? Right? So sometimes we need to just love people the way they are, right? But we have to stand strong with this, right? And so don't even have it in the house. It's a slippery slope. It is a slippery slope. Right? Everybody get that? Right? Okay? So, are we good with this? Are we done with it now? Who's done with it? Who's done with it? Not so sure. Not so sure yet. I get it. But if you're done with it, like, action. Yeah.
Maple syrup?
All right, we're going to cover that. We are going to cover that. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal with it. Until you actually are free of it, the maple syrup is going to sabotage you as well. It is. So what you really need to do is you need to be done with it, and then you can make a smarter decision about it, right? Now, if it sounds like I'm telling you that you can just never have any fun at all, if you think that's what I'm telling you, the answer is yes. No, not really. I like to have fun too.
but I'm pretty particular about it. So yeah,
Once you stop eating the sugar, you have no desire to
Yeah,
have
you
it.
don't
That's
crave
right.
it as
It's gonna
much.
happen
That's right. And
If
so,
you are consistent with it.
that's right. So you
And
have
the
to actually do
same
it.
with the maple syrup. Eventually, if you don't eat the sugar, you're not going to want any maple syrup anymore.
Yeah. And then, you can actually be choosy about it when you have control. Yeah.
I have heard that calorie-free colas and that sort of thing, they're a type of sugar in
Yes.
them. Artificial
The
sugar
artificial sugars,
will stimulate you to want
they
more
absolutely do.
sugar.
They completely undermine any weight loss program.
Right.
Don't even go there. That's the witch again,
Yes.
telling you this is your
No,
solution.
guys,
I've heard it.
Run the other way.
Mhm.
Run the other way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so again, what you said was true, Kara, that you have to be free of this before you can be in right relationship to be able to choose it again at appropriate times. Yeah. So you can have fun, like Laura Ingalls Wilder. I mean, you can choose wisely. Yeah. So we'll get to the 3 exchanges so you'll know when you're free of it, what you can then have fun with. Okay? So let's look at what the 7 pitfalls are. First one is drinking calories. Okay, our ancestors, what did they drink? Water. What else did they drink?
Did they have milk?
Maybe some blood. Right? Yeah, maybe some juice from something. Yeah, right? Yeah, right? Okay, you get that picture? I want that picture to be really vivid for you, right? Yeah. Water. That was it. That was what they drank, water. Yeah. So drink water. Drink more water. Get to like water. If you want to squeeze a little lemon in it, that's great. You can do that, okay? But drinking calories, like the energy drinks, oh my gosh, what it's called, Super Muscle Man Mega Drink, right? Yeah. Do not drink your calories. Just move away from that. Now, is there a place for juice fasting, something like that? That might be a strategy at some point for you for detoxing. Or, is there a way to do a detox where you're using smoothies that actually have a lot of nutrient density? Only if you're recognizing, but it's tricky. It's a tricky one when you're drinking the calories because you don't count them. You'll tend to just not count them. Like, I just drank that whole thing down, but I didn't have breakfast yet, right? Or, that image of the Florida orange juice, and the commercial is, right, sponsored by the Florida orange growers, right?
Mhm.
And it's just pouring this big thing of orange juice that's going into this, it's like a hot tub it's going into, right? And you're climbing and you're drinking your way out of it. Like, you know that image, right? And it's just so delicious. It's the witch, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's loaded with sugar because it took all the fiber out, right? And how many oranges went into that tall glass of orange juice? How many oranges? About 8, right? So are you going to go eat 8 oranges all in one sitting? No, it comes in the perfect serving size, the way it is, right? With all that fiber and all the other nutrients that come with it, right? So drinking calories is one of the pitfalls. Too much fruit actually is one of the pitfalls as well. It is. If you think of a ratio of, for every fruit that you have to have 4 vegetables. That's kind of a safe ratio to go with. Yeah. Yeah. And if you're finding that, and you could even see what it's like to just go without fruit completely for a little while. You could see what it's like. And if you're looking at the glycemic indexes of different foods, berries are the best way to go. Berries would be the best way to go. Granny Smith apples, the green apples are, that's another lower glycemic. Okay, dairy, yeah. Dairy has a lot of health benefits to it, but as far as the pitfalls of dieting, dairy is going to be one of the ways that sugars will get in. So if you are really looking to get that healthier body, get that healthier weight, then just leave the dairy out for a while. Yeah. Grainitarians, yeah. You'll be so undermined thinking you're going to get there being a grainitarian. Snacks, stop the snacks because you don't count them. You don't count them. That's the problem, right? But they do count. You guys remember, most of you, when we were growing up, it was pretty much 3 meals a day. We didn't have the snacks, right? What is happening now with our kids, right? That they have to have the little baggie of Cheerios and the juice box, right? Right? Well, it's for, it's the party.
Oh, it's
an
because
all
there's a
day
party.
event too. It's
Right?
not just a snack. It seems to be an all day event.
You're right. That's what's happening, right? Used to be just the parties, right? And then it was like, oh, for the carpool, right? Pick them up. Oh, here's the snack right away, right? Oh, it's just because it's they stubbed their toe. Oh, here. Oh, here's a snack. Or oh, you tied your shoe today. Oh, here's a snack. Right? What are we doing? We're training our kids to be addicted to these grains. And they're just going to reach those diseases faster than we have. I said it before, right? It's a problem. So just stop the snacks. Just stop them. Post-exercise binging. I just worked out. I now can go and have that muffin, right? Okay? When you start to actually measure how many calories you're burning and how much calories in those foods, right? Like, forget about going for the Frappuccino thing, right? Yeah, you just worked out. Maybe you burned 250 calories. That Frappuccino is probably about 690. Yeah. Same thing with the blueberry muffin. You know, you worked out 250 calories. Blueberry muffin is going to be about 290. Yeah. So you just nullified all that work, right? If you start to think that way, like all the work you have to do to burn 290 calories, and you're going to ruin that with this muffin, right? And we do it. Why? Because we're addicted, right? And that part of our brain that's smart turns off when the addiction turns on, right? That's why we have to just stop that sugar bondage piece, yeah. Okay, now skipping breakfast and then having the first food be a poor choice. There was one slide that we had that talked about eating less being a problem. And what I want you to actually start to think about is eating less often. Eat less often, but don't go hungry. Just eat less often. So when you eat, and eat good stuff so you feel satiated, you're content. And then you're going to last until the next meal. And there's some benefit. Again, it's more of an ancient healing strategy of looking at that idea of intermittent fasting. Yeah. Just make sure that when you break that fast, you're going to break it with a healthy food. Don't break it with the cereal, because you've just sabotaged all the work that you've done. So there is something to the idea that our body needs a rest. Our digestion needs a rest. That's why we call it breaking the fast breakfast in the morning. But it's good to have, at the very minimum, a 12-hour fast between your last meal and your first meal. And it turns out that pushing off breakfast, as long as you start that, you break the fast with something that's healthy, good fats and good proteins and vegetables, then you're going to actually be setting your body clock and doing some advantages. And again, that's something I coach people on, just so they do it right. But I just want to make sure that you're understanding that, you know, having breakfast for everybody isn't actually the best choice. And having cereal for breakfast is the worst choice for everybody. Yeah. Pastries, donuts, bagels, like any of those grains and sugars. Okay, so what would be correct? And again, we're referring to Bonfire Correct because you can dive deep into the Bonfire Health Program with a lot of these things. So unlimited vegetables. Our ancestors would have had unlimited vegetables. Abundant, lean, natural meats. Abundant. Some fruit, nuts, and seeds. Some fruit, nuts, and seeds. Right? Think about it. Almonds. You wouldn't have had like a cup of almonds, right? Because you would have had to work at breaking open the shells and picking out the meats. You would have maybe 8 at a time because of the work it would have taken. Okay? So
that meat back then too is better for you than the meat now.
That's right. So you definitely want to be going for the grass-fed meats, 100% grass-fed meats, for example. Absolutely, yeah. Which are going to be leaner than the conventional meats that are fed on grain to fatten them up. Okay, watch. We fatten up the meats with grain. And then we're grainitarians to fatten us up, right? We're the same kind of animal. The same thing happens. It's inflammation. Okay? Some fruits, nuts, and seeds. Limited starch, no sugar. Limited starch, no sugar. No sugar. So, again, that's going to be the correct one. Paleo correct. This would be the same thing. Paleo correct. The Zone, anybody heard of the Zone diet? Again, it has some great rules to it that make it easier. So a lot of similarities. And again, this is part of an overall lifestyle. Overall lifestyle is not just a diet, right? So you can't do just this and still be sedentary and still be stressed out, right? So why paleo? Why am I promoting paleo? Because our genes dictate what our nutritional needs are. And Paleolithic man is when our genes were set in stone, right? Set into us. And our genes were shaped over time by the environmental experience that we had. So what was the environment that our genes were created in and shaped in? That's the environment that's going to be healthiest for us. Our genes haven't changed in over 40,000 years. And up until 500 generations ago, right, maybe 10,000 years ago, all humans ate the same diet. We all ate the same diet. We were all hunter-gatherers, right? It would have been unlimited vegetables, abundant meats, right? Oh, just what we just said. Everybody ate the same thing. Maybe different animals in different places, but that's what we ate. And there's no evidence of ancestral degenerative disease. There's no chronic disease that we can find evidence of when we look at our ancient ancestors. If we go back more than 500 generations, it didn't exist. Yeah. The agricultural revolution is what changed all that. Yeah, that's what changed it. And what happened in the agricultural revolution is we started growing grains. That's what happened during that. Yep. So what does it look like? What does paleo look like? Unlimited non-starchy vegetables, that's the good carbs. No refined grains, that's the bad carbs. Plenty of fruit and berries, plenty of them. Relatively high in animal protein, moderate amounts of good fats. Moderate amounts of good fats. Good fats. So that doesn't mean low fat, right? No, low fat was not there. It was good amounts of fats. High in fiber, hugely high in fiber. And our gut flora needs that fiber. Yeah. High in potassium, low in sodium. Our taste buds were salting everything. That's what our taste buds have gotten used to. Net alkaline load, acid alkaline, right? Osteoporosis, look at acidic diets, right? Acidic foods. Grains, sugars are acidic foods, right? And also the grain-fed meats are acidic. Yeah, so just follow the grains back. Anything that comes downstream from the grains, stay away from. And then they were, of course, rich in all the phytochemicals, the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants. The soils were so rich. And they would have picked something and it would have been ripe and they would have eaten it, right? Perfect, with as much nutrient density as possible, with all of it working synergistically, right? So what does the zone look like? Very similar to paleo. They actually highlighted out with 40% of your calories coming from carbs, 30% from protein, 30% from fat, rule of thirds. I got to tell you, thinking of it in terms of calories is hard for me. It's hard for my brain to picture what that is. So I'd rather look at, let's look at a plate. What would a plate look like that had the right ratios? Oops. So here we go. About 2/3 of it is going to be the plants. 2/3 of your plate is plants. Mostly vegetables, some fruits. The other third is going to be the protein. And then you're going to add a handful of fat in there.
What if you don't want to eat animals?
It's going to be trickier. It is going to be trickier. Are eggs off the table? Is fish off the table?
Fish is off the table.
Yeah, so
They're an animal.
Yes, they are. Well, an egg is going to be an animal.
Well, but they're not yet.
Well, if they're fertilized, they're on their way to it. So, but I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just curious because eggs are a fantastic source. Eat a lot of them. If that's what's allowed in, eat a lot of them. Don't believe any of the lies about eggs not being healthy for you. It's one of nature's most perfect foods.
Are unhealthy.
Oh no. That has to be. You have to be a nicetarian. You can only eat food that's been treated nicely. My daughter coined that term for me. Right? So those eggs have to come from healthy chickens. Yeah. If they're unhealthy chickens, they're going to be unhealthy eggs. Yeah. So pay the extra 10 cents an egg, right? Or whatever it is, right? Organic, pastured, free range eggs, right? They're not expensive. Chemotherapy's expensive, right? Yeah. Okay, so does everybody get this, right? Yeah. Kids get this. You put a plate in front of them, you ask them, where's the plants? Where's the protein, the healthy protein? Where's the fat? You just start to ask your kids to identify those things. And this is every meal you eat, including breakfast. including breakfast. Okay? Total is not going to look like this, is it? Rice Krispies, it's not going to look like this, right? Yeah.
Can I ask you what you start your meal off, the first meal of the day? What you eat?
I eat lunch. My first meal of the day is lunch.
But what does that consist of?
Avocado, almonds, salad, maybe a jerky, water. Sometimes I'll make smoothies, but I'll make sure the right things are going into it, and I actually will count that. Yeah. And sometimes that's just because I'm on the go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I know the healthy way. I'm conscious about it. I know the healthy way to do it. So, if this is your first time out there, I'd rather you just I'd rather you not do the smoothies. Now, we do have detox programs that have the whole supplements. That's a great way to go, and there's great recipes for that. But I'm talking about this class right here. What we're talking about is getting healthier weight. I'd rather have you go to the healthy food and just get the feeling of that satiation. Okay, so let's see what it might look like, right? How about that for breakfast? Right? Yeah. Anybody here eating paleo already? Yeah, a few people, right? Right. Don't we eat like kings?
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We eat like kings. We're never hungry, right? So any of those diet things where you're hungry, like stop that, right?
Is that sausage?
That's sausage with omelet with all kinds of veggies in it, right? Okay. How about this? Get some hard-boiled egg with avocado, bacon, tomato. Yum. Okay. Some bison steaks with avocado and tomato and a bed of greens. Almond flour pancakes with blackberries. Yum. Right? This is
Maple syrup.
If you
We live in
If
Vermont.
you're using bacon grease, you don't need maple syrup.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, because the fat.
Butter.
See, that's the thing.
So
If
good.
you find yourself craving the sweet, get some fat into your body. That is the cure for that. Get some fat into your body. Yeah. Okay. We got some grilled ahi with peppers and what I can't remember what that is. Avocado probably. Yeah. Yep. And on a bed of greens with some bean sprouts in there. Sprouts are awesome. Sprouts are a great protein source. Everybody sprouts are. You gotta eat a lot of them, right? Not dense, but lots of nutrients, but not protein dense. But great source. Yeah. Grilled chicken thighs with some apple and some almonds on a bed of greens. Some walnuts there. Swedish meatballs. But there's not going to be any flour in these meatballs. There's not going to be any grains in there, right? We got some grilled salmon, right? Only wild caught. Don't get that farm raised. You know why? What are they feeding them? Grains. Yeah. They're so unhealthy. It's one of the worst foods you can eat. Again, on a bed of greens. Delicious. All right? And how about some shrimp and lobster tail with some avocado? Anybody's mouth watering here, right?
I'll take that one.
Yeah, right? And I want to tell you, you can eat as much as you want of this. Do you know why? Because the fat in it, your body recognizes when it's had enough fat. You will be satiated without overeating if you get enough fat in. So if any of you are struggling, get more fat in. That's one of the first things I'm going to recommend is get more fat in if you're struggling. Healthy fats, only healthy fats. Get more healthy fats in. Okay, so what are the do's and don'ts, right? So, again, avoid those refined carbohydrates, the cereals and grains, the sweeteners, the bad vegetable oils. Okay, the exceptions are going to be olive oil, avocado oil, palm oil, coconut oils, walnut oil, some good ones there. Dairy products avoid, soda, juice, and alcohol avoid. And what you want to get in is a lot of the non-starchy vegetables, and you could put some of the starchy vegetables in, but not so much. Like, go with the non-starchy ones, because the starchy ones are going to have a little bit more of the sugar in them. Yeah. Some fruit, meat, poultry, fish, range-fed eggs, natural fats, some nuts and seeds, drinking water, H2O. Okay, here are the 3 exchanges. So for those of you that feel like you need to pace yourself a little bit, or those of you that are committed to breaking the bondage of the sugar, but then wanting to know where to go once you're ready to make some healthy choices and you have that robustness and that capacity. So grains, you want to change from the glutinous to the ancient. Okay? Before you leave today, if you want a copy of the anti-inflammatory diet handout, it has what the ancient grains are on there. And if you've already got it in the practice, you know which one to look at. Okay? So ancient grains are going to be quinoa, wild rice, amaranth. What? Camel. Yeah.
Farro.
What is it?
Farro.
Farro. Depends on, sometimes the farro can be processed.
Oh.
Yeah, so you just want to look at that, yeah. What about the sugars? So just go from the processed and the artificial to the natural. And when I say artificial, the good exchange from artificial would be to stevia. Stevia would be the 0-calorie alternative to the aspartame and the Splenda and the NutraSweet, which are neurotoxins.
Right.
All right, but natural sweeteners are going to be the raw honey, which has so many enzymes and healing properties to it. The maple syrup, which is going to have the minerals in it, right?
Coconut sugar.
And coconut palm sugar has a much lower glycemic index than cane sugar. So those are the 3 ones that I would recommend. There are some other interesting ones. Monk fruit is similar to stevia. You only need a little bit. Lacuma is another fruit sugar that can be used. So you can explore those other natural sweeteners as well. And then just the switch you want to make from fats is from the toxic to the healthy. And again, the anti-inflammatory diet handout will have what those exchange, which are the healthy ones. We've already named them, but just as a review for you. Okay, so again, that perfect hormonal storm, it's the toxic deficient foods, but then it's the sedentary lives that we have. So let's unpack this one a bit. Unfortunately, so some people are recognizing themselves here. I appreciate it, right? Because the elephant in the room, right? But we got to call it, right? This is the result of wild humans being in captivity. Our culture is engineered to create this, right? If you follow the regular dietary pyramid, USDA pyramid, you're gonna get this pyramid, right? Yeah, it's real. It's real. And it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy. So humans living today have inherited a genome that was programmed for daily physical activity and a high fiber diet. It was programmed for this, right? So we have to live by that genome. So what causes the elevated insulin? Again, it's the food choices, but it's also the energy imbalance. It's the overeating and the under-moving, right? So there's that strategy, I'll just work it off at the gym, right? We already covered that. The amount of calories you're exerting, right? And especially if you just go to the gym for a certain period of time, but you're not really breaking a sweat, you're just chatting with your girlfriend, right? You're not really pushing it, right? So here are the keys to it. For energy balance, we need to have the caloric needs, we need to pay attention to that. There's the intake and the output, right? The intake and the output. And there's the hormonal impact. So when you're doing the exercising, you can't just work it off at the gym if you put crap in that's turned your hormones sideways. You'll never work that off in the gym. So energy balance, again, we are an economic system. Think of where we came from. We came from a place where it was hard to get food. So to be able to store fat was useful, right? So genetically, we have thrifty genes. We have genes that do not want us to expend extra energy. Think of Paleolithic man that had to work so hard to get their food. If they then added an hour of exercise workout to that, that would be suicide, right? That's suicide, right? So genetically, we're programmed to be lazy, to conserve our energy, to use the least amount of energy to get our food. We're genetically programmed for that. It's very easy to consume calories with this genetic makeup, and it's very difficult to burn them. That is by genetic design. So you will never out-train a lousy diet. You never will. You never will. You won't get away with it. It will catch up with you. I love this. Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. You can be doing those crunches all day long, right? And those abs might be under there, but they're covered up by this layer of fat from your toxic food choices. Yeah. So exercise is critical in achieving optimal health, and it's all about correcting metabolic derangement. That's really what it's about. Our ancestors exerted themselves daily to secure their food, their water, and protect themselves from the weather, from wild animals, right? That was what we were expending our energy on. And although modern technology has made physical exertion optional, right? We don't have to exercise. We can sit in our house, pick up the phone, have food delivered to us. We could never see another human being. We could work in front of the screens, right?
No, there's people who have never exercised in their life.
In their life.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's happening, right? So although exertion is optimal in our modern world, it is still important to exercise as though our survival depends on it. We have to be exercising as though our survival depends on it because it actually does, right? We're not running away from a wild animal. Not that kind of survival depending on it. Not survive the next minute depending on it, but the slow progress of chronic illness that's going to kill us. It's going to kill us early. And it's not fun. It's not pleasant. Right? So rebalancing your hormones with exercise. Again, this is another way to rebalance your hormones. You only have to exercise on the days that you eat. Which days do I need to exercise, Doc? How often do I need to exercise? Only on the days that you eat.
8 days a week.
Exertion is key, right? And it's all about you and you exerting yourself. I remember this story about this guy who was obese, and he walked like 20 miles a day. He did the same loop. Took him a few hours to do it. Every day he would do it. His body just got economical, right? And he never broke a sweat. And when his trainer looked at well, how can this be? He says, okay, you're at this telephone pole. There's that telephone pole. Walk as fast as you can. And he got to there. He was exhausted. He was panting just getting to the next telephone pole. And now the trainer knew exactly what needed to happen. He needed to stop the long distance, and he needed to just push himself so that he was exerting himself. And that turned his metabolic rate up, and he started to get that healthier body, that healthier weight. So moving, sweating, and panting. If you're not moving, sweating, and panting, you're not exercising, right? Like you could go in the sauna. The sauna has benefits with sweating, but if you're not moving, that's not exercising, okay? So moving, sweating, and panting. How many people do yoga and they never break a sweat? And that's their exercise. How many people go for their walks and they never break a sweat? They never pant, right? That doesn't count as exercise. It doesn't count if you want to be resetting your hormones.
Exercise doesn't count.
It counts for cardiovascular health. It counts for muscle health. But to reboot your hormones, you have to be panting and sweating. Yeah.
Get your heart rate up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Panting
to
and sweating.
rebalance your hormones.
Yeah. And, and everybody can be panting and sweating. You can be sitting in a chair, and I can show you ways to get panting and sweating. Yeah. There are ways to do it. So nobody has an excuse, actually. Okay? 30 minutes, and with that, you want to do 20 minutes of high intensity interval training. That's the burst exertion exercise. Think about when you were kids playing tag. That's the kind of exercise that's important. And on days when you can't get this in, there are 4-minute Tabatas that are going to get you panting and sweating. So you can do a search, 4-minute Tabata. There's hundreds of them out there. Just find one you like and just get your 4 minutes in. We got a little challenge going in the office right now of 100 squats a day. 100 squats a day. Yeah, I'm on it. I am on it. I don't know if everybody else is not. We haven't checked in a little while. I'm on it. And so I've been playing with it a bit. You know, at first it was like, do 10 at a time. That'll be easy. And spread it out through the day. And I realized I'm not getting any panting and sweating and if I only do 10 at a time. So I've started to ramp it up and do like 50 at a time. Getting a little panting and sweating going with that. Okay, and then there was one day when I forgot. So the next day I did 150, right? So I'm getting my panting and sweating in, so I'm back on track. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you do, it's what moves you. Okay, find out, just figure out what moves you and do that. Maybe it's dancing, right? That might be fun to do. Crank on the tunes and dance, right? It could be running, biking. It could be going to Orange Theory. They have a great setup there. It could be just a challenge with your friend. We're going to walk as fast as we can this time. None of this slow walking, right? Okay? Swimming. Yeah, swimming's coming up. Yeah. And somebody asked me, does sex count?
Are you moving, sweating, and panting? I guess that counts. Right? And then there was the whole discussion about 30 minutes of that. And how, how that may or may not work for some people. Right? All right, so do what moves you.
So are you saying 30 minutes plus 20 minutes of high intensity?
Ideally, if you really are on it, if you really want to hit your goals, right? If you're already there, you could, if you're already there, you can maintain with those 4-minute Tabatas, with that 20 minutes of high intensity interval training. And this actually, I would probably do if you're really pushing it the way you're supposed to be with high intensity interval training, 3 times a week. Yeah, because you want to have some rest in between. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, third part, social stress. Social stress. We live in a world where it's been normalized, right? What do we do about that? First, we recognize it, right? So, cortisol is the social stress hormone. And when cortisol goes up, right? When did cortisol go up in ancient man?
The tiger almost had him.
And when was the only time cortisol would be steady and up in ancient man? Famine. It's the only time it would be chronic, right? So the things that cause cortisol to go up and stay up is chronic psychological stress and sleep deprivation. Those 2 things. Yep. And so, well, sleep has nothing to do with it. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Big time. There are some things that are happening in our culture that we have to pay close attention to because it's slipping under the radar for a lot of people. We are asleep at the wheel when it comes to sleep here. So sleep deprivation is a problem because the cortisol cycles are happening in our body. There's certain rhythms that we're supposed to have. It's supposed to be low at night so you can sleep. And it's supposed to be high in the morning so you get up and get ready to go hunt and gather. Right? So there's a normal rhythm for our cortisol levels. To get us moving and active, it should be high in the morning. If we've got chronic cortisol, it goes upside down. And now, with chronic social stress, you're thinking at night. And you're keeping that cortisol high. And you're not sleeping. Even if you're in the bed, you're not getting good sleep. Not healing sleep. We have our unnatural schedules, right? Oh my goodness, those folks that are on that 3rd shift, please don't do that for very long. Please don't do that for very long. And especially if you're childbearing age, which is when most of it is happening. And it's a hard time on the body, right? It sets the body up into stress mode. And now you're trying to conceive in stress mode, right? Famine would not be a good time to start bringing kids in. Do you see? Right? So it affects fertility, right? So we have unnatural schedules. What are the unnatural schedules being caused by if it's not our work late shift? If you just have the 9 to 5, but we still have unnatural schedules. Why do we have it?
Devices.
Screens, right? What?
It's a night show.
It's a night show.
The Tonight Show.
Oh, The Tonight Show. I didn't hear it. Yeah, The Tonight Show, right? Yeah, entertainment. Entertainment, right? So we have unnatural schedules. Do you know that as soon as unnatural lighting came into play, as soon as the electric light bulb was invented, humans went from sleeping 9 hours a night to 8 hours a night. It just changed it as soon as we had that light bulb. Yeah, we just started to spend. Why is that? Why is that? Because it's genetic design, right? That when the light is on, right, that we're awake, right? And so when we have unnatural lighting, when light is on, when it's dark out, our leptin goes down, which means our appetite's going to go up.
Oh, get in bed.
Right? Yeah. Our ghrelin goes up, which means our appetite goes up. So now you have these 2 hormones that are supposed to be synergistic, on, off, and they are, but opposite. They've gone sideways. Cortisol makes us crave carbs because if the tiger's chasing us, carbs provide the sugar for burning right away, right? And then the insulin has to come in with the carb cravings, and we go into fat storage. So our poor sleep is setting us up for fat storage. Do you see that? So the best practices for sleep, use a circadian rhythm as a guide. When it gets dark out, time for bed. When it gets light out, time to get up. That's what our ancestors would have used, right? So that's our circadian rhythm. We want to pay attention to that. And that's going to get our hormones into that rhythm as well. And so what are the things that you want to look for?
Really be looking for 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Look for that. Design it. Schedule it. When does your healthy day start? The night before. So when you think about, we got a big day coming up, you want that big day that's coming up to start the night before with really good sleep. Dark, quiet, and comfortable. Dark. Okay? None of the street lights coming in. None of the little digital lights, the radio and the night light. The TV, right? Falling asleep with the TV. Like, get the screens out of the bedroom. Get them out. Get all the devices out of the bedroom, right? And if you have to use your phone for your alarm clock, it goes on airplane mode. Airplane mode. Turn off the screen, right? Turn it off. E-fast. No devices. Okay, I've heard 30 minutes, but I'm a big proponent of 90 minutes. I'm a big proponent of 90 minutes before you're going to go to sleep, because the light coming from the screens, it turns the melatonin off, and melatonin is your sleep hormone that you need. So if you're wondering why you can't sleep even though you're tired, chances are you might have just been turning the melatonin off, and then you get the chronic stress thinking going. Okay? And making it a household culture makes it so much easier. In our house, we go to bed early. This is what we do in our house. We don't have sugar in the house, right? We get up and we exercise, right? Like, it's our household culture. This is what our family does, right? It's much easier than having people on 2 different schedules, 2 different diets, right? It's so hard to do it that way. So, what have I been telling you then this evening? I've been telling you to actually eat more of good things, sleep more panting, sweating. Some people are hearing more sexier. Okay, you can do this, right? Can you see yourself doing this? Can you? Can you see yourself eating more, not being hungry, with good stuff, sleeping more, good rest, and exercising, right? Can you see yourself doing that? You can do it. So given the ineffectiveness of the popular weight loss diets, adoption of a healthy lifestyle is more appropriate for winning the war against chronic disease. So we brought that circle right around where we started, right? That obesity is about chronic disease. That's our motivator. That's what we want to be going away from. Okay, so for some of you, then, if you're already under care, you know that we've got this part handled for you. If you're not under care and you're not sure whether you have nerve interference going to the thyroid or the digestive system or the adrenals, or you have nerve interference causing difficulty with pain, and that's interfering with exercise, right? I want to sit down with you. I want to see if I can help. So for those of you that are here today as guests, then I want to invite you to come in to the office so that we can sit down and see what your goals are and find out whether you have nerve interference as part of what your concerns are. And the usual cost of the first visit is $210, but because you're here tonight, we're going to cap it at $47 for you. Is that fair enough? Right? And we're going to be very extensive we're going to be very thorough with our first 2 visits of finding out what's going on and then what my recommendations are once I've studied those results. So if you want to do that, then you'll be at the front desk to schedule folks? Yeah, so one of my team members is going to be at the front desk to schedule you before you go. So you're action-oriented, right? That's what we want, action-oriented. Okay. For those of you that are the do-it-yourselfers, the Bonfire Health Program is a great tool to use, right? And so if you're already in the practice but you haven't explored this site, go there now. That's one of your action steps. Go there now. They have a 90-day challenge that you sign up for, and you're going to learn the 39 healthiest habits in 90 days. You can also just go and look at the site. They've got recipes on there. They've got exercises on there. They've got strategies for dealing with stress on there. So this is a great thing if you're a do-it-yourselfer, right? And for those of you that are wondering whether you have weight loss resistance and you're curious, do I have inflammation around my cells? Do I have heavy metal toxicity? If you want to find out if that's going on for you, whether you're in the practice or not, the 3 tests that I told you about that help me understand what's going on with somebody, again, these are such valuable tests. And They're part of a bigger program that we call True Cellular Detox, where we're measuring before you start and then as you go through the program. It's part of the bigger program, but if you're curious about this piece, the usual cost, if I cut that out and put a price tag on it, I'm going to put $97 as the cost of that part of it. But for tonight, I'm going to offer it to you for $47. Is that fair enough? Fair enough? And so what that means is you're going to go to wellspringcls.com, that's the website, /TCD, and that's going to get you access to the neurotoxic questionnaire. And then for these other 2 tests, again, you just want to get it scheduled at the front desk, and then we will do those 2 tests. We'll schedule a time on your next visit when we can do those 2 tests, because it just takes some time to do those tests. Okay, is that fair enough with everybody? Okay, so does everybody have an action step that they're thinking of? And I'm thinking there might be 3 action steps that you want to be thinking of in the 3 categories: how you think, how you move. Right? Think about what your action steps are going to be and start that tonight. Even if it's just like planning what your day tomorrow is going to be like, you're going to do that tonight. Start right away, because procrastination is the thief of health. Right? Okay? Everybody up for that? Everybody's up for that. Okay, great. Bing. And so these are some resources for you if you want to take a photo of that, or these are just some great resources for learning more about the paleo diet, about CrossFit as an exercise. TrueCellularHealing.com will give you more information about the TCD program, the bigness of that program, and I can tell you more about that too. So thank you so much for your time and attention this evening.
Thank you.
Action. All right, it was